Life is good. Come on by and take a chair or lean on the rail. Let's have laughter and remember fun times on the front porch. Rob and Dave always had the light on for fellowship and making memories. We will try and make you stay the best it can be. Yes, life is good. Sometimes life gets in the way. It's hard to smile on the front porch. But our friends remind us we are still here and care. Yes, life is good. Southern fried podcast sitting on the front porch on a Friday night with our friends. Life is good. Friday night is a front porch night and all is right. Yes, life is
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Front Porch Talking here on the Southern Fried Podcast. I'm Rob. That's Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Well, I'm hanging in. It's been not been a good day, but we fought through it.
Oh, I hate to hear that.
Just got back from carrying the granddaughter to her mom's, fighting through the traffic and rain and construction zones and backups and everything else. So I haven't been back long. Got in about 20 minutes ago from Athens, Tennessee.
All
We
right.
got a later start we wanted to, but I'm here. I made it. There was doubt there for a while. That the interchange is bad. Got stuck in some traffic. Started out bad, ended bad today. Road shut down. Just not a good day. I seen Steve. I think he was having a few technical issues on his side. So maybe it's just one of them things. But it's Friday, folks. You got your weekend. Enjoy. Great weather outside, a little bit of rain. Life is good. And we're still alive and kicking. Might not be kicking too high. My foot won't let me walk too much. Pain keeps moving to different parts of my foot. But I'm hanging in there.
No good.
Concrete don't give it much relief. Helped a lot of people today get their training done. They were good sports about it. They got behind on it, but they were catching up. We're up to sit and watch 2 or 3 hours of videos. Hello, Dog Tag. Hello, Barry.
Hi, guys.
How y'all doing? Hey, Dog Tag, did you see that? I guess you did, but that one guy's post about the how the cost has changed. That's pretty interesting stuff right there. how it went up. It went up almost, well, for some. Well, it's different for everybody. It can be, but by his numbers, it went up 20, about $20 a day since he went in 17. More. He was a pretty frugal guy, it seemed like. But I've been getting a lot of good info off of one of those sites about the AT. It was interesting to see how people map that out for themselves. And one of the boots that we covered on cornbread was actually mentioned in a post. And I think it was the number one boot, and they were giving their opinions on some of these boots that I read off. I thought it was pretty interesting. I got like the number one, the boot and the number two boot. I think both of those were mentioned, and you didn't keep track, but you're sure it was one of the boots that we mentioned, the Merle. Merle, was that it? They really liked it, but there was a couple of things about it. No boots, trail runners. But they showed a picture of their son with the boot on the hike, and then some of the others, like the lighter boot, that was better on rock. Excuse me, rocks. It was interesting to get their opinion about what's good in humidity, water, day to day, and most of them said they went through 3 pairs in the 2,200 miles. But it was interesting to see how they broke that down, their cost that they planned on, and then hear everybody talk about what happened for them when they went up the trail. And we're trying, Barry. We're trying to look out for each other. My son's with her right now. It's just moving pain. It's where I walk on it funny to compensate for the one boot or boot. Here I was talking about boots. The one pain, and then it throws a soreness in the other part of the foot. So I went side of foot, top of foot, side, underneath, side, toe. That was rough. And now the heel and a little bit up in the ankle. So I'm just being careful with it. I gotta go to the doctor though. I want to think that's one, 2, 3, 4. Monday or Tuesday. I got to go back to the doctor after I went and did labs, which I already got my lab results in. But I got to go back and I'll talk to him about it. But yeah, trail runners, most used 4 that I hiked with. Okay. Well, that's about one every, 2 months? Is that about right? Well, month and a half? Dog tag? I think 4 pair, yeah. But I like how they had it. There's some good recommendations on there, for people that had never did it before. And trying to get your trail legs, which you talked about, 500 miles a pair. Oh, I make both 4. Okay, makes sense. But they were talking about in the early days, don't try to do too much. Keep it at 10 or 10 to 12 and no more for the first 2 weeks. Because the elevation changes and get yourself acclimated, and then you can pick up there. Of course, age and everything plays into it. But then kick in and do some 25 plus, even 30 plus if you want to, here and there. But keep it at about 16 miles a day, or 15, 16 miles a day is what most of them will say. Yeah, short days and workout. Yeah. And some, we're talking about how some people want to do it as fast as they can. Everybody. But a lot of those people that tried to do that, they said, were the ones that left the trail first. due to injury or they just burned out or whatever. They left after that. After about 2 months, they just split. Yeah, and you know better than me. I just found the conversation very interesting. Um, today's one of the topics was because the guy asked, "Is $10,000 too much or not enough?" And actually, that number came out. You can do it cheaper than that, but most people kind of said that's kind of where you need to plan at, and it might even be 13 because you're going to want to buy some things, you're going to replace some things, you're going to want to eat, sleep in hotels. And so one guy said he did it for like 6,000, but he said there were some rough days because he just stayed out of towns and stuff mostly. But yeah, so I like that they're giving them good recommendations. You know, that's good. It's going to help them as they go. One person said, because when they're going to start, it's still going to be cool down. It will be still cool here. So they said wear this heavier stuff until you get to a certain spot, mail it back home, go without that. You won't need it, and then at the end, have a certain place they ship it back to your family, and you get. I remember your stories, man. They ship it back to you, and you'll have it for the end when it's cooler again, or cold, not cooler, cold. So it was cool stuff. They said about 50 miles was the longest you ever went between shelters or something like that. There was one spot that was about that or a little more. But most days you could get 16 miles in between something. Water sources are plentiful. Have a little extra. That was cool. I mean, when you get out there, it all becomes real. After several days of eating light, you started in February with shorts and finished in shorts. How about that? That's pretty cool. Some people said they're going to start in March, some in April. It's because of the way they work or something, or getting the money together. That may be part of it as well. So did you work on that tree today, dog tag? You said you were spending 2 or 3 hours out there on the day or something. Good evening to all the folks in Instagram. Love the names. Poor Man's Shadow. Or How To Channel, sorry. I remember you, yeah. Looked you up. We followed you. Thank you for stopping in. Faith and hope to you. Jesus loves you too. I like that. And Carl, my glasses ain't working too good. Alberto. Okay. Splitting wood today with a maul. Man, that sounds like work. A lot of work.
Poor Man How To channel's up and coming. They hadn't, I don't think they've quite launched yet, but it's going to be a good one.
What's
So
that?
a shout out to them.
To who?
To Poor Man's How To channel.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear what you said. Paying my youngest to stack wood. That's good. That's a good way to make money. My granddaughters have been going off and doing work for people in the neighborhood, and they've made. I think Kaylee's up to about almost $40, raking leaves, carrying stuff, moving stuff for people that are older and stuff, and they got a great compliment for being some of the most respectful, nice young ladies they have seen in a while. And they've been giving them extra work. So they've been doing it after school and, talking about their business plan and getting the tools they need out of their things. And that's cool. I'm proud of them. I mowed yards. I didn't do too much leaf stuff, but I did mow a lot of yards. Gas can and a push lawnmower. I didn't have I couldn't afford no super deluxe riding lawnmower. My grandmother had one, but she lived down, but she'd never let me use it anyway like that. But that's probably from me, Barry. I've got one on either side, and that was a lot louder. They started in, and I don't know what they're barking at. So it's not mine. I got a yipper, but that dog is in the house. So yeah, they're good kids. They're they know the deal. They're like any kids. They get in trouble here and there, mouth usually, but they're good kids. I'm proud of them. Your dad gave you the same. All kids should. But yeah, that's a good starter stuff, and then later on when you go to work in a job, then you're already kind of, hello, Jen. Then you're already kind of, you're not fully prepared for it, but you already have a work ethic. You've worked with your parents. You've helped them go for stuff, lift stuff, nail stuff, whatever it was. And then you got maybe a side job. You made some money, after school money. By the time you get that first real job, and nowadays, if you're doing that, you're probably ahead of a lot of them. Amen, Barry. I imagine that's very expensive. Yeah, Watchman. I joined him on the trail, but I would be called Hopalong. Just wish
Barry,
I
you could
learned
have
it.
called it IHOP. They couldn't call you Hop Along then. You just fit right in because you'd be at the IHOP.
Dog Tag, did you meet?
Hey, y'all have a good night. I need to get off here. Y'all have a great night, and I'll catch you next time.
Well, okay. I wasn't expecting that, so um, I just wanted to ask the question, Dog Tag. Do you see a lot? Did you see a lot of people with disabilities that were helping? Being helped up the trail, like they wanted to do it, but maybe they, whatever, um, whatever the disability was, they were taking maybe longer. But did you see? Did you see that? I'm just curious because people like that tend to push forth even more so, like if it's sports or something like that. Not a lot, but some. What kind of disabilities were you seeing? Like, did they have legs that they have problems, or was it just other things? I'm just curious. I've got friends that have competed in basketball, you know, different kind of sports like that, water sports. And I was just curious if you had seen that, which is cool. I mean, that they probably have to have help, especially you're thinking about those elevation changes and top spots and stuff like that. But Sour Patch was losing his sight. He had trouble late in the day. Well, that'd be tough. By the way, I've heard nothing about the I've heard nothing about the injured hiker. I mean, not injured, missing hiker. I was thinking about him falling. Did see a couple of amputated limbs. Okay. Was that arm, maybe? Hand, something like that? I just think it's cool, that they don't let that hold them back. And even though it's challenging for anybody, especially on some of those climbs that you talked about, that they're putting forth the effort to make it through. And I imagine they hurt a lot more than others, depending on what the disability is. Last you saw, he is still missing. That's not good. I mean, I don't think they've actually had any real one arm. I don't think they've had actually any real. I don't think they've had actually any one real, scent or other than that camera and people saying they talked to him. That still picture they had and a few people saying they talked to him. I don't think they've got in the car find. I don't think they've got any leads. So that's sad. Very, very sad for his family. From every indication, there wasn't nothing crazy going on or anything like that. Sometimes you get people go out, they've got crazy stuff going on, and they're in a bad place mentally, or maybe they're financially collapsed. There's a lot of stuff can happen, we know, or they run up on somebody, which is rare, that commits. But the more likely is that something happened physically, like he slipped, fell, heart attack. It's just guessing, but that seems to be more, what that, what that may have been. I won't say probably is, but may have been. Thoughts on Trump blazing the communist flag? I didn't see the whole story, but what I seen, I didn't care for. I'll be honest with you. I've noticed something about the president. PTSD was very common on the trail. Oh, I bet. He has this thing where he talks really tough, and then he sits down with these people, and he kind of changes a little bit. And I get it. I mean, you know more about people, but it's almost like he backs off. Like he'll talk tough to Putin. They get together, and he comes away with nothing. Or one of the. It's noticeable. Everybody's noticing it now. It's like, where's the fight? The people are wondering, does somebody have something on him? Who's telling him what to do? Because he seems like he backs off. It's very strange. I was reading today out of Al Jazeera because our press won't print the stuff. They act like it's out there. They'll say in other media, but they won't attack. They won't print it, or I haven't seen it. Hello, Chickbait. Was the 28 points that they're trying to get Ukraine and Russia to agree on to end the war. And yeah. And it's interesting what's in there. Some of it you expected. Some of it was kind of interesting. And I don't know. They always say, well, it looks like a good deal for somebody, or it looks like we're going to get a deal, and there's hope, and then it goes away. Hi, Lewis. But I'm going to go over that this Sunday night. The 28 points of the plan, and what does that look like? For Ukraine, which is not good. It's mostly good for Putin, but some of the stuff, if they get him to agree to it, I'm a little shocked that he agrees to on some of that. But it's mostly good for him. But there is a little bit of land that they're going to have to give up in order to get other land. There's going to be shipping lanes available like that. No NATO, truth, but EU, European Union acceptance guaranteed, pretty much. Troop limitations, the nuclear power plant, they have to split it 50-50 to the Russians and the Ukrainians. It's weird, money made off of this off the deals, 50% comes to America. That's going to raise some eyebrows. Russia supposedly agreeing to $100 billion of their money being sent into Ukraine for rebuilding purposes of their withheld funds, but the other funds are going to be released to them. Yes, that's we were kind of mentioning that he was. Um, they're like pals now. It's just it's that's what I was saying. Like last week when he's railing all over MTG, it doesn't matter if you like her or not. When he was railing over her and calling her names and traitor and all this stuff, and I'm sitting here going, wait a minute. She's America first. She's for getting out of Ukraine. You know, there's some other things. Mostly, I agree with her. Nobody on everything. And he's calling her a traitor than he has today. I don't get that. Um, okay, yeah. Those, by the way, those AI earbuds are really amazing. We tested those at work because we have a lot of different languages, and they work really well. I didn't try them, but the lady that works with me, she tested them with people, and we haven't never bought them. She bought it. I think she bought it on her own dime, and she said, "I want to, uh, I want to uh, see if this will be a help because sometimes we don't have somebody to translate." And it worked every single time. There was really no hiccups. It was absolutely. I don't know what brand she got. They weren't that expensive. I mean, they weren't expensive at all considering earbuds. I was pretty pleased with for what I heard. I've been wanting to get some. I thought that was cool. Yeah, I think she spent about 30 something, but for a Black Friday, I could see that. Well worth the investment, man. Well worth. I need to get some as well. I mentioned this before. You remember the guy that slipped into the it's like a political event somewhere. They're having going to have somebody's going to stand up and give a little speech out, and the guy slipped in as a translator that didn't even know the language. He was just speaking gibberish, and people are listening on the TV, and they're going, "That's not what he just said." And they started calling organizations and stuff, and saying, "You need to get this guy off the air. He's an idiot. He's speaking gibberish. He's not speaking the language at all." Like, to those people, they arrested him. So I was just always wondering if he told the people, "I slept at a Holiday Inn Express." I don't know. I don't know. The libs are going to do a Black Friday boycott. Uh, the problem is having money to do any Black Friday buy. A lot of people are struggling, but they'll go in debt more to find money to do that. That's truth. That's truth. Barry says, like it, yeah, that's true, Barry. That's true. Obama has a dude doing sign language that was nonsense. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot about that. You just got to make sure you got good people. I had a guy one time that needed to have sign done for him, and it was a guy that somebody in his family was that way, and he learned how to sign very well. They would never allow it today, but it was a different company before we were bought, and they were all like, just figure out a way. So it was perfectly acceptable to use an employee. You just get them to agree that whatever you're talking about is confidential. I mean, they would never do that now, but back then they're like, sure, just tell them to have them sign a paper or something. He was throwing up gang signs, cribs, yo, golly. So I had to talk to the guy about his attendance, is what it was, a couple of little things, but mainly, he was in like he straightened it out later on, but he was in trouble with his attendance, and well, next thing I know, they're in an argument signing. I mean, I'm like, looks like aggressive signing. I don't know what's going on. And the guy, I don't know, one of them said something, the other didn't like it, and they got an argument signing. I'm like, whoa, stop. All I want you to do is just tell him you're out up there. You don't make no comments, no commentary. You just tell him exactly what I said, and you tell me exactly what he said back. I don't want nothing else. You're not here to. The meeting ended pretty quick. I told him, I said, man, you can't do that. You just can't do that. So, my son reached out to me. I need to tell him an answer, and he's gonna help me with something. He's a good boy, but it's amazing. People, this has happened a lot over the years, not just in that. People that act like they're somebody they're not, and they have no, they're just nuts over. They just want to see if they can get away with it, and they don't. Uh, they just don't get. They don't get caught sometimes. People are like, who is this guy, or who is this girl? I've seen it happen at plants where people come in and walking around. Nobody asked who they were. They just walked around. They didn't work there. That's a security breach. That's been a long time ago. But they just wanted to see if they could do it. They didn't take nothing. They just come in and looked around. Hey, what's up? that was funny. Bad. I mean, if a bad happened, or it wouldn't have been funny. We had a guy come to the door once. This is a famous thing down where I work. It was a long time ago. And he asked for this guy's name. He asked for this guy, and we had two guys by the same name. I think it's a different middle name, but they had the same first and last name. I don't think they were related. And so this guy goes to the door, and the guy punches him in the face. The other guy, the guy that didn't come to the door, was stepping out with his wife. This guy that came to the door has nothing to do with any of it. Don't even know the other guy, and gets punched in the face. That story has stayed around there for years. I talked to him about it. He kind of laughed. He wasn't happy at the time, but he laughed about it himself. He goes, yeah, I remember that. You remember that time I went to the door and got punched in the mouth? He knocked him on his butt, threatened him, stay away from my wife. Dude, I don't even know who your wife is. Guy took off. He figured he was going to get caught. I don't think they ever did. I don't know if they ever did anything with it or not, because I don't think they have proof. Because nobody saw it except that guy. So there was no cameras at that time or something. That's what I think. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think they did anything. He just got punched in the mouth for nothing. Well, I was aggravated this afternoon. You're driving to another city, and you got two lanes of interstate. I don't know why that corridor up 75, they don't get a third lane between Chattanooga and Knoxville. Most of the way, it's just two lane. And it is so frustrating with all the traffic and the building up of all the companies along the path. So many 18-wheelers riding up down the road, and you just get stuck in these slow packs, and it's so frustrating. The last few miles, I was like doing 52. It's like, it's feeling like it's forever to get to the exit. Have to go. There's a ghost here. Okay. Well, chick bait, you have a blessed evening then. Go deal with your ghost. It's good to hear from you, though. Been thinking about you. Lewis, too. Bless you, brother. I hope y'all are okay. You still doing Lewis still doing the Uber? Well, thank you. We need it. Me and my wife. I got my son tonight. I'm a couple of shows. I'm not going to do the Monday night show or the Wednesday night show for a while. I got to help my wife. It's just the timing. I'll be doing shows early and shows later. It's just the time of night that I need to help her, and so it's always pushing me. And sometimes I have to break away and go, but no, I'm clean. But I was talking about Lewis. Oh, yeah, it is Lewis. I looked at it. I thought chick bait. You're cleaning. Okay. Well, cool. I was talking to a guy, an Uber driver the other night. It's been a couple of weeks ago. on Saturday, and he pulls up, and he was just sitting in a bad spot. And so I talked to him, and I said, "Are you Uber?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, just if you would, man, just I know it won't be but a minute for you guys ain't long, but you're in a bad spot. Like I'm afraid you're going to get hit. Like they drive a little crazy coming in that way." And he goes, "Yeah, man, no problem." He goes, "I am thoroughly impressed and appreciate the fact that you're worried about my safety." I said, "Well, sure. I don't want nothing to happen to you, man." I don't think they get a lot of that. Usually people are being jerks. I'm not a jerk. I try to talk to. I mean, I usually don't even say nothing as long as they get out of the way because you know how it is, man. Uber or Lyft or whatever, they're not waiting long, so they're out. So, but he was kind of blocking traffic a little bit, and that's not a good thing because somebody will whip around another car or something. Yeah, bad things can happen, and plus you got pedestrians coming across, and there's a there's a blind spot. If it's a bigger car, a lot of those Ubers are driving vans, SUVs, big SUVs, stuff like that. They're not usually doing sports cars. So they're not low profile, so it's hard to see around them. And some kid will step out, and somebody gets aggravated and speeds around. Just a lot of bad things can happen. So I usually try to talk to them about it. I don't ever have any problems. They appreciate it. Every once in a while, I get a knucklehead though. That's not a Lyft or Uber driver, and they just think that they're entitled. And I'm like, no, you got to move. Oh, I have my allergies have been kicking my butt. My voice is kind of messed up tonight. I've been coughing a lot on the show. I'm sorry. And today, this rainy kind of thing is, and it just drains you. That's what I say. I can't scratchy throat. It's a lot of it's going around too. So I'm like, wow, I was a little sleepy getting back. I was glad to get out and finally get to come do something because I was just rain, dark. It gets dark early. I hate that. And I gave blood too. Thursday I gave blood, and that drains you a little bit. Then the allergies, it just makes you feel blah. Yeah, I know. I need to get some honey. I know it's good for you. I need to do that. I do. But a couple of times a year I'll have a little trouble with it. But it's just been weird weather: cold, warm, wet, hot, cold. Dog tag, I don't know. I mean, I don't have any information. I don't. He's not on camera. I don't even know if he's watching. So I don't know. Pray for him. Don't know. And we have a couple more came in, or one more came in Instagram. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm Dave, aka the Cornbread Man of Friday Night Front Porch. In the morning it'll be probably a couple of shows. We'll do the Saturday AM, Southern Fried Saturday AM. And if you watch that little video of Paul talking about the horses in the ocean, there's a follow-up story to that. He says that he's real funny, and we're gonna hear about that. So we'll get the second part of the horses. I have watched that thing. It's a short clip, maybe 30 seconds. I bet Dr. Cornbread. I bet I've watched that thing 50 times. It just cracks me up. He caught me off guard. Sometimes I don't know when he's being serious to when he's fixing to tell something really fast. It's true happened. It was in the Caribbean. And he tells that story about them horses pooping in the ocean. He sent me a couple extra pictures of them out there with a the whole group in the horses in the ocean. But he said there's a follow-up to it. He's going to share that in the morning. So, Lord, I need a good laugh. It's been a lot going on with work, and we've been just trying to manage things at home and get things done. Help my wife and hope pray for y'all. Pray for her. Don't forget me. Pray for her. She just she needs started working on a new wood project, going to try to make a carved American flag. Hey, that's cool, man. That's cool. That would be very interesting. I like that. George, Eshelman, he does some amazing stuff with wood. But the best story for him is him and that dog. That's like a daily. He could do a reality show just for posts about him and that dog, and then working in the shop. That would be a great podcast. People would watch that absolutely. A vet. I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew he had an amazing story, but I didn't know that he had all those talents. I mean, he worked for a carpet manufacturer. I don't know what his job was. I don't remember, but that's who he worked for. He was a competitor of ours, which is fine. Just I don't say the name because um, screen doors. But I didn't realize he did all that till custom screen doors. I didn't realize he did all that until leading up to the show. We had him on. I was watching a lot of his stuff on his Facebook, and I went, "Wow, this guy's like building stuff, like massive projects." I was like, "Whoa," which is good. It gives him something to do, keeps him occupied. He's one of those that he cracks me up because he's happy when his medication arrives in the mail. The thing that keeps him kind of centered. But that he needs that companion, that dog. That dog, I guarantee you, that dog is living a dog's life. I guarantee you, that dog is being taken care of to a degree that he will never want for anything. I mean, he's already taken over the bed. Oh man, and he's living the life, laying there on that fluffy pillow, covers pulled up right to his neck. And he took George's pillow. Oh, I was touring for a job at a carpet mill. They said I was colorblind. I assured them I see color, but lost. They said no. I had one time had thought about going into um, the that kind of part of the company. This was even at another company, and I can tell color, but it's such a pressure job. You got to make sure that those color variations are. You take samples and all that, put them under lights and all that stuff, but uh, I just thought it. I just thought that might be a little much for me, so I decided not to do it. But yeah, you can't be colorblind and work in quality assurance or the mixing or whatever, making the colors and all that. Yeah, dog tag. I never met him in person either. Maybe if you're able to come down in March, or what I think it is, you're coming down. We can maybe cook something up, man. That would be cool because I would love to do that too. And it's not far. I mean, I could be over at his neck of the woods in about 45 minutes, 45 minutes, easy. And that would be very, very cool. I would definitely buy the man breakfast or something. Um, so hopefully, we can always hope and pray. And yeah, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But I think it'd be good. Uh, he's supposed to be, and of course I won't say what because we said we wouldn't, but I don't think he would mind me saying he's trying to work on another screenplay. Uh, and I don't know if if you do breakfast, I'll do lunch. You got it, man. You got it. Um, but he really that through that process, he really got the bug of wanting to do more with the movies and stuff. I can imagine, even though that was a hard thing for him to be involved with, it was a great thing as well. And he's got that bug to be involved, which is it's like the guy down here who wrote a book. I don't have it in studio right now. I don't think. Maybe I do. Anyway, wrote Zenith Man, which Barry read. He's got the bug to do others. So he's got other stories he could do, and yeah, I'm due to watch it again. I went ahead and purchased it, and I was thinking the other day I need to watch that again, especially with all this Appalachian Trail talk and all that stuff. Um, yeah, I just thought that would be cool. You know, I've always thought about writing a little short book. Or something that I really like. It could even be family history, and just the challenge for me is English was not my first love. So, but there's a lot of helps you can get out there for that. And the thing is don't try to write above what you are. Just be real. And if it's real, people feel that. You don't have to be. There's always an audience for something that is authentic, even if it's fiction. If it's authentic and you can feel the passion in it and you enjoy the story and they take you on a journey, you're all in. It doesn't matter. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be this masterpiece. It just has to be something that somebody would enjoy. Watch the movie 5 Million Footsteps. Okay, I've not seen that. I'll do that. Hello, Sonic Hedgehog 67. How are you? But that would be cool. I was going to write a book about finding God in the Lord of the Rings, but I saw someone beat me to it. Yeah, they've done that. They've done that. That's like, I don't know if they wrote a book, but there's a lot of stuff been written about Cool Hand Luke and that same thing. Not really finding God, but the imagery, all in the shadows kind of saying, or right out front. There's a lot of in that, and I've read through some of that stuff. I don't know if it's per se a book, but there is definitely stuff you can go read about that. It's an old movie about the AT. I read a book, and it was a great book. It was the same thing, but they weren't doing it for the journey part of it, although that's what it was. It's called 1,000 Trails. And that is a book about a missionary from America that went down in Central America and was giving out the gospel and selling. They actually sold a Bible for a little nominal amount because people would pay for something and more likely to read it, keep up with it, and all that. But they were missionaries, and same kind of thing. Hey, Michael, they were going up and down trails, up and down mountains, because all those countries they have malaria, mountains, hot, cold, everything, bugs. It was one time he got eat. I was trying to think of the guy's name, and that book, I don't think it's in the studio. The other one is. I looked up and I've got it, but it's a little paperback. I think I got it for $2, but it's called 1,000 Trails, and it was recommended to me by a lady, and it's a great book. I couldn't put it down, and it's an old book. It's been out for a long time, but he ended up. And it was there was a war going on in the world time. I think it was around the time of World War One. I think, or right after that, right in that or after that. Anyway, fascinating look at cultures, their experiences. It was kind of his journal, and he wrote a lot, and it was fascinating. I just loved that, and the challenges that they had, because it's the same kind of thing. You can't carry too much. They eventually, for necessity, bought them a donkey. I mean, after a while, they were young boys. I mean, they were teenagers almost. Not, they might have been. I don't know if they were 18 yet or not, or 17, but they were somewhere around that age, 17, 18, 19 years old, somewhere. They were really young, in shape, but they've not been out of the country. And I know at one point he got really sick with the malaria, and it just zaps you. And so eventually going up and down those mountain ranges. And I mean, they went into places that were a little dangerous. They were in El Salvador at one point. God, I can't remember. Guatemala, Colombia. They went to Colombia. I remember that. So they were danger spots. And some of those places they went, they were, lack of a better word, witch doctors. People that were they thought they brought the bad mojo, and so they were against them. So there's always dangers on the highway. People did get killed and robbed, and they just missed a couple of things like that. But I love stuff like that. But when you said that, it reminded me of that 1,000 trails or something like that. Because literally, that's probably they definitely did more than 1,000. Everything was a trail, no big highways, and just surviving. They had a lot of people to help them. A lot of plantations. They was basically de facto slaves working a lot of those. They're working for just to have food on the table, and they're basically slaves. Um, so anyway, it was you go into a town, you have to ask permission to come in. The local authority, if they don't let you in, you got to leave, or you'll go to jail or worse. So you actually go to I forget what they called them, but in one of the countries, they go to the town, you go to him and you tell him what you're there for. And they either say yay or no, leave. We don't want you here. And sometimes you have to pay. You had to pay a little money. I mean, it's always about the money. You had to pay some money to get in to the village. These weren't big towns. Every once in a while they would get to a bigger town where they resupplied. And he had trouble eating some of the foods and stuff too. So I thought about me. There was foods that he just couldn't eat, and and then his health was going down. He lost weight. So I love to read that. But he made it. Made it back home, and he's deceased now. He died many years ago. But I'll check that out. 5 million footsteps. How old is it, man? Is it like 80s, 70s, 60s? I don't know, Mike. He was here and he said he had to go, so I'm not sure. I was just wondering what time frame it was. 5 million footsteps. What is? I'm sure there for most people. Well, Dog Tag, here's a question for you. I'm sure somebody has figured this up. I mean, or did have the little pedometers. What is the footsteps generally going to be at the end of the AT run? I know you're going side trips and all that. What's the steps in it? I know the mileage, but you have a lot of extra miles, like you said, where you're going off the trail, you're going into towns, you're walking in if you don't have a ride. So what did somebody have like an idea of what the steps were to do the trail? Generally estimated, because people around here, they'll talk about, well, I got my 10,000 steps in today, and that's, so many miles. And around that plant, you're just walking on around, and it's a given you're going to get 5,000 to 7,000. It's a really busy day. You're going to get 10,000 or 12,000, and you're on the go a lot. If you're like a supervisor or something, they're just constantly being called to stuff, and they walk a lot. But I was just curious of what that was at the end of the trail, if kind of what that range is, if they go all the way through hike. But I'm just curious. I could look it up. I just didn't know if you knew off the top of your head. But yeah, don't forget, folks, the SFP coffees. I've got two that came in. I've had them before. I also have a new blend that's coming in, and we're going to try that. I'll have to tell you how it is. It's not. I don't think it's going to be here till Monday, Tuesday, somewhere in there. But pretty big orders this month. Me and Rob both put in orders, and I don't know if there might have been another one too. But I'm loving the coffee. It's just my wife loves it. Not sure when it was done. Okay. When I was a kid in school, I don't know what it was. I've always loved books and I've always loved reading. And I've said this before, but I had this. There was this thing about me. I didn't want any new books. I wanted to go into a library and I would get the oldest book on the topic that I was wanting to write about for a book report or just to read. I would look for the oldest book I could find in that particular, if it was history or whatever it was, action, And I love that old book where, you open it up, the pages are all faded and yellow, and you get that smell that comes off the book. I could read a book like that every day. And you don't get that with digital, which I have books on my phone, and my iPad. And that's fine. It's convenient. You don't have to carry around heavy books. But man, to curl up with a good book on a cool day, covered up under the heat, heat going, cup of coffee, man, that's a great day. Or it's raining. You know, it's a good day to be inside. It's a good day to read. Give me an old book like that, and I'm happy as a cat, man. I just love it. But I've told this before. I'll say it again real quick. I got stuck. I couldn't find a book one time, and they said, "Let's go. Time's up." And you know, I couldn't even look another 2 seconds. I reached up and grabbed a book. I've been looking at several in that area. Man, what a dummy! I reached up and grabbed the Three Musketeers. That is a long book. So I figured out how many pages I had to read. And the teacher was like, "You going to read all that?" "Oh, yeah." And I could have. The problem was I want to come home and play too. But I figured out how many pages I had to read every day. And I said, no problem, I'll do this. But things start happening. Things get in the way. And I got behind. And so I decided I'm not going to be able to get all this in. So I read the first few chapters and the last few chapters. And I did a world book report off of that. And man, I did a good job. My teacher even said I did a good job. The only, that's okay, okay. The only, 5 million steps. Okay. Man, that's a lot. That's a lot. But the problem I had with that story is the teacher had read the book. And she said, you didn't read this. I didn't lie to her. I said, I ran out of time. She said, I know you didn't read. I want to see if you'd be honest. She said, for not doing what you were told, and you would fail. But, however, because you told the truth, I'm going to bring it up to a D. True story. Passed it with a D. And she said, the shame of it is, David, you could have had an A. She said, if you just finished the book, what you just did would have been an A. Probably an A plus. I got a D. Pilgrim's Progress is a must-read book, yes. And second, third reading in your walk in the Lord, yes, yes, yes. Anything by, oh man, I get on a podcast and I just can't think of names. But E.M. Bounds, that's great reading on prayer. E.M. Bounds, read that. When I was talking to Patriot Mobile, matter of fact, I mentioned that book, and because the guy had a beard that looked just like the picture on the book. And he said, I'm going to have to read that. So I don't think I've heard of that. He said, I will check it out. So hopefully he did. And there's a couple other guys that a lot of pastors and stuff they like to read their stuff. And I mean, it's more than a couple, but there was a couple that I really liked. So it was cool. So yeah. Which, hello there. I'm sorry I missed your up in the Instagram. Appreciate you being here. Phantom Switch, I like that. Which car do you own? I have a Ford Lariat. Ford Lariat. It's a one owner. I didn't buy it new, but I do own a Ford Lariat, and my wife has a car. But for me, it's the Ford Lariat. Nice truck. It's been taken care of. I did a few things to it, but it's been good. I enjoy it. Yes, I have. Martin Luther, yes. I like the writings of, things about Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Those are always good reading. Well, I seem to get questions like that, my friend. Not the topic for tonight, but you email me at cordellsatlanta@gmail.com. I'll be glad to share that, but not really the topic for tonight, but appreciate you asking. I was trying to think of it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, there's a lot of, some people wrote several little books and use Cliff Notes to get through English and old books. Way to go, Dog Tag. Another misread is the Screw Tape Letters. Yes. Yes. Very good. Very, very good. Every man of God should have a really good library. A really good library. Hey, and I want to tell you, I know it's fiction, but if you like a little Christian fiction, I love Frank Peretti. I've read a lot of his stuff. it kind of engages my mind, gives me it's not, fact based, but it has bases on what we might think it would be, the unseen battles between angels and demons and all that. But he's a good writer. I really enjoyed some of his talks and stuff too, with the chair and all. But Frank Peretti, I like him. It's Christian fiction, but it's good stuff. I hadn't read anything by him in a long time, but This Present Darkness and Piercing the Darkness, I bought that as 2 books in one. Love that. Absolutely love that. Well, 2 books. But yeah, that's good stuff, Watchmen. There's some good stuff out there. You know what happens, and sometimes you just get blessed. A man of God he'll pass on, and I didn't say that, Sonic. I'm not saying to be controversial. I'm just saying it's not the topic for tonight. So, but yeah, and it just gives me a chance to one-on-one it. People in the chat they're not just not going to talk about that right now. But when they die, usually the spouse will give certain books to, they'll spread it out among older to a lot of young preachers too. Usually their husband has said, hey, this young man here, he's a blessing to me. He is, make sure he gets, some of mine. Or sometimes they give them away before they die. They know they don't have long left. They start giving books away. But I know one of the Bible schools I went to, there was a guy who died, and he donated something like 5,000 books. And I'm not talking about just a little paper, but I'm talking about, the best. I mean, all the series and stuff. And he donated all that to the college, so that students that were going to the college could check those books out and read them. It wouldn't cost them anything. They just read it and bring it back. And I mean, they had to get new shelving. She gave them some of his, but some of it didn't work in their space. They had to build some. They got some made, and they put. It was a blessing. In fact, they named the library after the guy just as an honorarium. That was kind of cool. Covers the creation, how Satan fell and took a third. But okay, yeah. That's cool. Yes, I have. I've preached in them, sir, or ma'am, whatever that you may be. I have. Definitely have. I've had my life threatened. But when you go where you're supposed to go and you're doing what you're supposed to do, there's nothing gonna touch you. You got to know what you're supposed to be doing. But if you know where you've been sent and you go, you're not in danger. So I've been threatened in preaching in inner city and out of country. Not only here, but other places. Most certainly. I've been threatened in door to door too. Not a lot, but enough. No, never felt one bit of fear, because I knew where I was supposed to be, and no matter what would happen, it was supposed to happen. So I didn't put 2 thoughts in it. It was like, okay, here we are. I've told the story how one guy tried to run us off his property, threatening us. I said, I won't run. I'm doing good stuff. I'm doing the Lord's work. I won't run. My friend, he did. He split. I think it scared him. You had a guy pull a 357 on me over a Monopoly game. I thought he was going to kill me. Well, yeah, yeah. Well, back in the military and during the war, all the way back, there was a lot of threats made over gambling too. Somebody cheating. General Forrest. There was a story about him, and he got shot 5 times, by the way. Tough guy. I had a guy come up in my face while I was leading singing in inner city. They had guards there, but the guards, he lived there, so he was not around the guard. There was once you get past the entrance, you're kind of on your own. And this guy stormed into the service we were having and came up in my face and threatened me and screamed at me. And I just like kept singing. I didn't even change a beat. I just kept singing. But I was looking at my preacher friend. We would trade up. Like he would preach one night, one visit, then I would preach the next, and the one who didn't preach would lead the singing. We brought some song. I think they had songbooks there, but we would lead singing. So I was leading the singing out. He was preaching. I can tell you that he was behind this guy, and when this guy came up right in front of the podium where I was at leading the singing, this guy in my face, I mean, finger right here, screaming, I was saying all kinds of ugly things. I just kept singing, like, whatever. And my buddy scooted his chair, and I looked at his eyes and his face. He was on go. He was absolutely on go, and he was ready to take that guy out. And the guy ran out about as quick as he come in. I mean, it really messed with him that I didn't even change cadence. I just kept singing. I just nodded at him like, whatever. We're still going to have a service. And I think it stunned him. Crazy gets stunned. They don't know what to do. They get stunned. And it's like, whoa, he didn't react. Oh, this is messing with me. So, but my buddy, he was on go. He was waiting for him to make one more step towards me, and he might have met Jesus. It depends on how hard that takedown was. I felt perfectly safe. I was down in Houston, Texas, and I was still wearing my suit most days. I was out doing ministry. I was staying at this church down there. I was out preaching at churches and doing ministry all over the area, but I was staying in inner city Houston. The church was in kind of a bad area. I kind of grew up around it. You were safe at the church, but it was getting out from there. It was a rough area. So I'd be going down to these little, I'd come back to the evening. There wasn't anything, but water and stuff in the church. So sometimes I'd want to, a Diet Coke or something like that, or a candy bar. I'd have the urge. There was a couple of stores down the street, and they were basically, beer, liquor, smoke store. So it would depend on one night. One of them was closed, the other was open. So I went down there, and I'm in line. Everybody in line has got booze, but me. They've got every kind of liquor, booze you could think of, and everybody in there is staring at me like, who is this guy? I mean, you're not from around here. It was obvious. I just say, hey, how y'all doing? They don't know what to think. And then one day I went to the store, and God gave me a burden for a young gang member. I was in line in the store, and God said, go talk to this. He told me which one. And I went out there and presented a track and started explaining to him. All of his homies was surrounding us, kind of a semicircle. And they're looking at each other like, what the heck is going on? And the guy's listening to me. He's under instant conviction, by the way. And I was talking to him about his soul. I look up, I was explaining the track, and the guy, he's being very respectful. He's a gang member. And he was saying, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And when somebody's under conviction. And I could feel the power of God over us. And there's nothing going to happen, not until that was done. And so all these guys, the other guys are mad. I mean, like they're looking like they're ready to rip my neck, head off my body, And I'm not. It's not a cocky thing. It's just you're under the shelter of the Lord. You're under the wings, and it's absolutely the most incredible feeling. And I knew at that moment there was nothing going to interrupt. And I'll give you a couple more stories here real quick of how that it's happened time and time again to me. And not just me. It's if you go in to do that stuff and you just know. And you got to have wisdom. You got to know discernment. You got to know when to get out. You got to know it's time to go. But you're there to do something. I thought I was just going to the store to get something to drink, and God says, that guy. And so he kept the track. He was reading it as I walked away. But these guys are about the time that I got done. They're getting a little mad. They're like, hey, my boy, what do you think you're doing? I said, preaching the gospel. And I asked him. I said, I knew the answer, but I said, are you saved? I looked them all in the eye. you don't stare somebody down, but you don't look at the ground. You got to know how to hold yourself or something like that. And I looked them all in the eye. I said, "Are you saved? Are you saved? Are you saved?" And they just like stunned them. I said, and I hollered back at the guy that gave the tract to it. I said, "Hey, when you get done, share with all your buddies." He said, "Yes, sir." And they said, "What do you mean, yes, sir?" Well, they got mad at him. And he said, "Hey, he's cool. Leave him alone." So I got in the car and rode off. So it's God's work after that. I don't know what happened. I'll find out in heaven one day. But there's a reason why I was there. Amen. So I was in. We used to preach at a HUD project downtown, in the town the next state over from where I'm at, and I've told this story, before. And the same places I was threatened at. Well, one night we're out on the street. We ran into another preacher that we knew. We knew he was in the area. He lived in the area, and he would do ministry. He didn't do what we were doing, but he was doing ministry or going to church, and he's trying to help. Probably social kind of ministries as well too, being inner city. And we had walked about 2 blocks down from the place, maybe almost 3 blocks, but we could still see the building. And a car pulled up, a bunch of gangbangers. And one of them went out to go, and instantaneously, I could feel God's presence on this. It's like every fiber of my being was on fire. Like I knew we were going to have interaction with something about this. So, like I see the guy get out of the passenger side, it's car full, and he goes up he's going to run up the steps to the place that we just came out of, and it's like he hit a wall. It's like he hit a wall. Like he was, how you jump 2 steps, going. It's like he hit a wall. He just stopped. It's like he literally hit a wall. And he spins around and he looks down the street and he starts hollering at us. Now, he didn't even look at us. And he says, I could hear him hollering. I couldn't hear what he was saying. The guys that I'm talking to have their back to him. I'm looking right down the street between them. The guy's coming up there. He's all flexed out. He's got the gang colors on. I don't know if he's got a weapon. I didn't care. He's coming up the street and he's hollering, "Hey, who are you and what are you doing here?" Now, I eventually heard it. And about the time he got about a block away, I told the guys, I said, "Hey, we got somebody coming up behind you. You might want to turn around." And they turned around and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "Well, we're being put on notice, And I just looked at my partner. The guy I was preaching with is the guy I always said, if I had to go preach through hell, that's the guy. And sometimes you feel like you're in the middle of it when you're in situations like that. Like, there's danger there, but you don't really think about it because you're just in the middle of doing what you do. And the guy comes up there and he is mad. I mean, every vein is flexing. He's flexed up. By this time, he's kind of growling it out. It almost sounds like a demon. I'm not kidding you. In fact, I think it was a demon speaking through him, honestly. Full disclosure here. That's what I think. And so the guy, says, "What do you do? Who are you and what are you doing here?" The other 2 guys looked at me, because he's staring me down. Like he is locked eye. We're locked eyes. And I said, I told him my name, and I said, I'm a preacher of the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. And we're here preaching. This is holy ground that we're standing on. And I said, "What about you? Are you prepared to meet the Lord God? Are you born again?" So I know he's not. I'm just calling that demon out. And as soon as he heard the name Jesus, he repelled. Like, no, get away from me, get away from me. And he just turns and he runs down the street. And he runs to that car and he dives in like something you see out of a TV show. He dives in. His feet are dangling out. He's trying to get it. And I can hear him. He said, "Go, go, go." And they flip around and squill out of there and they're gone. And the 2 guys turn around and they're looking at me and they go, "What's all that about?" I said, "That, my friends, was the devil trying to threaten us and scare us and make us think to not come back down here." I said, "But he's a loser and a liar, right?" And they're like, "Amen." It's really interesting. And by the way, this is the craziest. If you think that's something, my wife, I had to work. Sometimes I had to work on that night, and my partner would go, of course, and lead the services. My wife and 2 sons would drive down and park and walk into that place to support this preacher in this ministry. I was at work, and people said, "You are absolutely crazy. Why would you let your wife and kids go down there?" And I said, "Let me explain something to you. If you don't understand it, you need to get a hold of it." I said, on the way to do the ministry, there is fear. When you get to the place that you are going to be, you don't have fear. I pulled up. When I would pull up, as soon as my feet hit the pavement, it's really hard to explain the feeling, but you know that there's a legion of angels guarding you. You just feel it. The hand of God is on you. And you walk in, not with a cockiness, you walk in with a faithfulness of a trust in the Almighty, who is going to take care of you no matter what, because He sent you. He sent me. And I knew that. My wife said the same thing. People said, "Aren't you scared?" And my wife, now listen, my wife will not go up and knock on somebody's door in the dark. She's scared of the dark. She's scared of dogs. She won't do it. But this little 5'1" lady, or 5'4", not shorter, I think she's 5'4". She would take these two young boys. They would get out, and you always had to park 2 blocks at least down the street. Would get out and walk down. The security guard would say, "Get in here. What are you doing? Let me lock the door. I can't believe you come down here. This is a dangerous place." And my wife would say to him, she said, "I'm in no danger." "What are you talking about?" She said, "I have Jesus. I'm not in danger." Now, I'll tell you, this lady will not get out of a car to knock. She will not walk up to a dark house and ring the doorbell and knock the door. She won't do it. The same lady, scared to death to do that, would go down and walk up in this place where a lot of danger, a lot of threats, a lot of stuff was. Didn't even blink an eye. That's the hand of God. That's absolutely the hand of God. That's walking on faith, and you have to walk out there like that. So anyway, it's just powerful. It's just when you feel that, when you're in stuff like that, you're like, and then later you're just amazed at it. You're like, wow, you know. But you can make a difference in somebody's life, you know. There was a guy that lived near the house, the church rather, and my pastor went to see him one day, and his wife would go to church. He wouldn't. He was a hard case, ex-military, really angry at God, just angry at him. And he respected my pastor. And the pastor walked up. He worked third shift. He was a bivocational like I am. And he woke up in the middle of the night, or the middle of the day, and God said, "Go witness to Bill. Go witness to Bill." And so he did. He got up, put his clothes on, went down there. He pulled up and got out. And he said, what are you doing here, middle of the day like this? He said, "I come to see you." And he saw the Bible in his hand. He said, "Not with that, you're not." And he had always been a little bit intimidated by this guy because he was a young guy, early 20s. This guy was in his 50s. He was hard nosed. I mean, he's kind of guy to make you cry. You know, you feel like it anyway. And let's just say door-to-door salesman didn't like him. He said, "Yes, I am going to talk to you about this because God has sent me." His wife later told the preacher, she said, "That's the best thing you could have said because he did that to get rid of you." She said, "Honestly, he had a lot more respect for you after you said that. He's not a believer yet, but you made an impact because you didn't run away." She said, everybody comes to speak to him about church, he puts them on the road. If you know what you know, you know. Oh, sorry, I had to eat my food, although I understand you got like 12, right? 12 counts. I know that to be true because I had a run in with this colt when I left, felt a hand around my neck choking me. That hand didn't release till I hit the city limit sign. Yeah. Hey, I want to tell you, I can't use names or even, I'd be careful. You never know who's watching. But I will say this. There was a place that I went. I'll just have to make it a place. I was invited there to this place. And when I got on the property, I could feel the oppression. And the only reason I went was because there was somebody that I cared a lot for invited me. And so I went for their sake. And when I felt the oppression as soon as I pulled on the property. It's a long driveway. It gets worse as I get closer. When I get in the house, it was the heaviness was intense. I've never felt anything like it ever in my life. I got physically sick. They tried to feed me. I ate very little. I started trying to eat. I couldn't eat. I was sick as a dog. I was there for about 2 hours, and I literally couldn't take no more. It was spiritually, physically, emotionally draining. No, and nobody else is having a great time. I feel it, and it got time to go, and I was kind of had to get out of town, so I was in kind of a hurry. I had a deadline to meet. I had to be. I think I was doing a Christmas Eve service in Atlanta at an assisted living home, and I had to boogie. So I was all the way out. I mean, I'm like sick, thinking I mean, I'm going to go, but I'm thinking I don't know how I'm going to drive down there. I mean, I'm sick. This is the truth. Well, as soon as I got off the property, the sickness lifted, and I was hungry. I mean, I was famished. It was like I had to eat something. I had a drive-through. I picked up my wife. She didn't go, and my wife said, "Did you enjoy the dinner?" And I said, "I didn't eat." And so I hit this drive-through, and we just hit the road. And I ate going down the road. Never had another problem. I'm telling you, I've been in those. If you've never felt that, that was intense. And so to follow up on that, though, I was talking to another person one time. They went to the same place. The same thing happened to them. We had never talked about it. In fact, I kind of knew them, but they said that they were supposed to spend the night, and they said, no way, no way. There is bad things here, bad things, and they left. So it wasn't, I'm not misreading the tea leaves or whatever. I know what I felt. And this other person told me, and I had somebody that wasn't even a believer told me that the place creeped them out, that there was something strange about it. Not a believer at all, but realized there was something really odd. They eventually hit the road too. So, yeah, principalities, powers are assigned areas. Sure they are, absolutely. And you walk into that and you're like, whoa. When you recognize, just as much as you recognize the power of God and that the glory of God, the Shekinah, same thing, the same thing, but that glory, you feel that, you know that, and you also know it when you're in the midst of the strongholds. Yeah. So, yeah, crazy stuff, and it's something that we don't talk about a whole lot. I mean, people get kind of freaked out about it, like they think you're kind of crazy. I mean, I do at church, but there's a lot of churches they don't ever preach on that stuff because people think that that don't happen today. Yeah, it does. I was talking to a guy. He was from Iowa or something like that. I met him at a missions conference. He was in Nigeria as a missionary, and he had went over there he was back on furlough to do visits and stuff. Now you can take this for what it's worth. I wasn't there, and I wasn't there. I wasn't there when this happened, but I'll tell you, I don't have no doubts about it. And no, you're good, dog tag. Navy. I was stupid and had a well, you know what I mean. I'm watchman, but anyway, how was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. I should have looked at the chat. I'll come back to me in a minute. But anyway, I'm sorry, I forgot. I didn't. I never finished because I had to come home on a hardship. My mom was. I was going to be working in the medical field in the service. My mom was thought to be dying. I had two little sisters that they had nobody. I came home, and they put her in the hospital as soon as I got home. They thought she had something really bad, and she was in bad shape by the time I got home. I'm bad, and I don't know how she was hanging on. And she was in intensive care and everything for a couple of weeks in the hospital, and They tried to get me to do just a leave, but I was thinking if I take a leave and she does not live, then it's going to turn into more long term. And I just felt like I can't even focus right now. So they granted it, even though they told me that I would never accomplish anything in life and I'd never hold a job, I'd never have a family, and I was a total loser because of what I did. Yeah, I got talked to pretty bad. I thought, I'll show you. That is uh, that's facts. I said, I'll show you. Anyway, that's a whole lot of talk about stuff some people probably didn't even want to hear. So, but anyway, I love the Lord and I love ministry, and I've not done what a lot of people have done. There's done a lot more than me, and it's not a race in that way. But I'm uh, thoroughly blessed by the things that I've been allowed to be a part of, and but no, dog tag, that's good. That's always good, man. The chat's fine. I don't really have a topic tonight or subject. uh, I appreciate y'all being here. You're keeping me going because like I said, I've been kind of draggy today. I'm still getting my legs back underneath me from the fall, and it's hit me a lot harder and longer than I thought it would. Honestly, I was like, I'll be over this in a couple days. It's been 9 days, and I'm still like, you know. Um, but then I was talking to a guy at work, and his dad, he walks like, because he's afraid he's going to fall. He's very elderly, but he walks, kind of shuffles, like he's so afraid he's going to fall, and that's sad. But they know what could happen if they fall. What years did you serve, Dog Tag? What years were you in? I was just wondering. I think you've told me the service, but I don't know if you told me the year, like what years you were in. I remember you was like in, EMT, first responders, and all that for many years. What was it, 8 years or something you served or something like that? Love to honor the vets. Some of them don't get as much love as some of the others do. You think of, Coast Guard, you think about Merchant Marines, there's all kinds of different things that people served in, not just Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. And, there's a lot of people serving a lot of ways. The CBs, whatever it was. There's a lot of things that people have done to serve the country in the military or attached to the military. But it's a blessing. It really is. But we're losing a lot. I mean, the Vietnam vets are dying really fast, obviously. It's been so many years, and now the Gulf War vets, they're getting age on them too. And, not as much as me, but they're getting up there, and the damage they've done. Some of them have died. Of course, the suicides that we talked about. Hey, Dog Tag, I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if this is true or not. I've heard all kinds of numbers. And, of course, this would not be first responders, too. Just military. We'd always said 22. That's the number we've been kind of working with for a few years. And you see everybody put that out, the 22 a day. I've heard that number is actually 17 now. Has it reduced, or 86 to 90? Awesome, man. Do you know, I was 82 when I went in. Do you know if that in the Army? Yes. Do you know if that suicide rate has dropped? Is there some sort of verifiable evidence that we have came down from 22 to 17, which would be amazing. Still too many, but that would be amazing if we have seen a dent put in that. That would be cool. Because, a lot of people's doing a lot of good work. I mean, there's a lot of resources being sent to that, and, things that you guys are doing, going up the trail, bringing awareness to it, money that's given, research and everything. Both parents were Air Force, awesome, strong military family history. Desert Storm. Yeah. But if that's true, if you know, just let me know. Just pop it in the chat because I would love to know that. Sister was Air Force. That's great to have that heritage. Uh, when they, you know, that's a great fraternity. Brother was Navy. Oh yeah, sail the seven seas. My interest in the Navy, my uncle, my mom's brother, was a lifer in the Navy. And he eventually got a position down at Jacksonville um, where he was the um, chief petty officer over supply. So his that's what they did. They supplied the ships. So, you know, cranes and hosters and all that stuff, making sure that stuff gets, on the ships. And he always told me if I came down there, and I was so wanting to do it. He said, "I'll get you on any ship that's in harbor, anything, doesn't matter what it is, from an aircraft carrier on down." And I should have went. And he got cancer, I think it was, and passed. And he lived over in Gainesville. He had bought this really. I mean, he worked hard. He put, invested his money, and he bought a house on two lakes, and he had great fishing. But on the weekends, he had a Monday through Friday job there on the base, and he'd come home on weekends, and he'd stay at home with his wife on the weekends, and he would go back and stay on base through the week, because the drive back and forth. He didn't want to do that, but sometimes there'd be a holiday or something, for him. But 18 is the number that's being said, so that's with it. That's right there. So I don't know where I saw that posted, but somebody put that on something the other day, and it said 17 today. It's too many. So that sounds about right. That's good to know. That's a big change. That's great. It's still too many, but it's awesome. Yes, Watchman, it is shameful that our vets are on the street. Son and daughter are Army, dog tag says. That's awesome. Great. Thank you. God bless them for their service to the country. And yes, we got to do a better job with some of that stuff. There's good to bad, one of my friends and a fellow peer at the company was Army for quite a few years, and he says that the local VA does a really good job. They've got a new shiny new office. They finally built a new place. He said it's really nice. He loves his doctor. They take really good care of him. Sometimes though, you hear the other side of that. You know what bothers me? One of the things that bothers me on that is the arguments they give over the disabilities. Like they only want to give so much, for that disability, and they make it sound like you don't really have a disability, like the percentage you get off of that, the escalator or whatever it is. I have a friend. He was injured in Vietnam. I mean, he thought he was going to die. People are dying every day, but he got injured a couple of ways, and he constantly has to go back for things that they do, and just to check him out to make sure things are still going good. But they knocked him around forever on what they were going to pay for his injuries and stuff. Come on, that's ridiculous. Make a decision and stay with it. Barry said there was a Gulf War veteran who served during the Battle of Fallujah that died in a mine due to flooding. Oh, yeah. I heard about that story. Yeah, he saved his crew. Yeah, sad story. They tapped into unknown underwater supply, flooded the thing out. They were pumping 6,000 at one point, 6,000 gallons a minute, I think it was. That's some pumping right there, buddy. Trying to keep that water, get that water down in that mine. But I think it was probably, by the time they got to that point, it was already too late. Oh, that's a gutsy crew right there. The miners, man. You watch some of those shows where they go back in the old mines. There's guys that do that. They put up videos. I'm out. So something today that every military member will have a daily mental health check. Yeah, absolutely should. And now you got drone warfare, which is throwing a whole new level of PTSD at the service members. That have been in the field of battle with the drones, and it affects them in different ways. I'm going to do a docu show, a series kind of show here. It'll be around. It might be Sunday, and I'm gonna do a little bit. It's going to be about Jonestown, and I've got a title for it. It's not going to be just a traditional, although we'll touch on what happened, but really it's going to be the aftermath. And you were denied, they force you to reapply. See, that's bullcrap. That's bullcrap. That's what makes me mad, that they would do you like that. Mental health checks daily during holidays. Yeah. Well, it's a tough time, and suicides go up during the holidays for every people group. It is. You know what? And I don't know if I told you. I may have. We had three, I think. I could be wrong. I think it was three high schoolers that committed suicide a couple of weekends ago during Find Out football. Wow. Horrible. Now, one of the kids, I don't know this for sure, I heard may have been in a bad situation and just finally decided to check out. Like, he had reported several times. That's what I read online. Don't know if it's true, so I'm not even using a name out of respect, and I'll let they'll deal with all that. But they say there's some misinformation going around too. It could be. I'm not saying there is or there isn't. And but it's sad though. It's so very sad that high school. I mean, when I was in high school, man, going to a Friday night football game, that was fun, and it's just a great time of life. It should be. And to think that was their end right then. So much promise, so much to be blessed about and everything. I try to encourage young people all the time. It's tough to get through all that. Michael says holidays are very depressing for me. They have always been. Just the birth of Christ is all I like about it. I understand, man. I understand. That's, I get it, brother. I get it. But just check on people, make sure they're okay. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard where people were getting ready to end it and somebody knocked on the door and they encouraged them in some way, something they said, and they decided not to kill themselves. You hear it come out in testimonies all the time. Yeah. That's right, Watchman. Yeah. Yeah. It's a horrible story, but I'm going to address it it'll probably be Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. I want to look at it from a little bit different perspective. Not that nobody's ever done that. I just want to go back. The anniversary of it was recently. That's why I want to do that. And so I've got a title. Be looking for that to go up and come in and share. I'm going to show some pictures. And we're going to talk about it. It kind of goes along what we're talking about. It'll make sense when it comes on. Sorry to hear about the high schoolers. Thank you, Dog Tag Watchman. The thing is, Jesus wasn't born in December. Yeah, it's true. We know that. More than likely, he was born in April or September. But it was in winter years ago. Michael says I always stayed drinking heavy from Thanksgiving to New Year. A lot of people do. And Barry says, hello, Michael. I hope you're doing well, Michael. It's shorter days. It's dark. It's gloomy. It's dreary. There's a lot of depression that takes hold. Finances get stretched more. It's just a fact. Sometimes people are laid off of work for a little bit during that time. It gets even more stressful. And it can be, that's why I got to check on people. Maybe somebody's recently lost their spouse, they're elderly, and they feel alone. My granddaughter, this was interesting. So I'm taking my granddaughter to see her mom. She's going to stay a few days. I think, and it's good. She gets to spend time with them, and I applaud that. Want them to have that time, and she's 13, and we've last few years has been really good for that, and we've had a lot of holidays, and she always talks to me about it, but I don't block her or anything. She wants to spend Thanksgiving with her mom and see some fun. Cause I see her every day and see some family. That's great. But anyway, we're riding up the interstate, and my granddaughter says, first of all, she's always checking on me like there's something wrong with me. She's like, "Are you gonna be okay to see the drive to go home?" I said, "I'm not blind. I can see." And so she's like, are you lying to me? Are you sure? She worries about me. And I said, I'm fine, Kayla. She goes, okay, I was just checking. So she sits there for a minute. Then she turns and she says, what are you going to do on the way home? And I said, what do you mean? What am I going to do? I said, I'll be driving, headed back. She goes, man, what are you going to be doing? I said, well, I may listen to the radio or something off my phone. I said, but honestly, even if I've got that on in the back, I said, it's a time for me to think a lot. Because, because she said, I'm not going to be in the truck. You're going to be by yourself. And I said, well, it's a great time for me to think. I like to just, it's just time to flesh through an idea. Maybe I got a bill or something I'm trying to worry about, or it could be a million different things. You know how it is if you do this. So then she says, you won't be lonely without me here? I said, well, I'll miss you. But I said, I can really never be lonely because I have Jesus. And she said, oh, that's right. The things kids come up with. I said, no, I'm okay. I'm not pulling over the side of the road having a meltdown because you're not in the truck. Actually, I'm trying to get back because I got a show. She said, oh, you have a show to do. I said, yeah. And she said, do you want to go somewhere and sit down and eat? I said, no, we'll probably just hit the drive-through, because she wanted me to get her something before she got there because they'd already ate dinner. And I said, no, I'd love that. But I said, honestly, I need to get back. Well, it was just interesting that she said that, Yeah, Dog Tag says, buddy checks. We need to just do it. Yeah, absolutely. Wise men didn't show up till Jesus. Yeah, they get that all wrong too, don't they? They were living in a house and don't say there was 3 wise men, just 3 gifts mentioned. They kind of put all that stuff together, don't they? Need the gifts for money to travel to Egypt when Herod was having all the newborns 2 and under killed. Yes. It doesn't matter when Christ was born as long as you recognize in your own way. Yeah. And that's what I always say, the whole argument about, and I want to get an argument, a debate about it. What day do we worship? Every day is a day of worship. Every day. Every day. Every day. It's not just one day. Every day. But it is a special time. I'm going to tell you, if you ever get a chance to go, I love to drive for the same reason. Yeah, I tell you, man, I'm like a computer that has to deprogram. I can't sleep at night if I don't. I gotta just work things out. There's things that you're thinking about at work. Things that you need to get done. How I handle a situation. Sometimes there may be somebody at work you're trying to think of how, did I handle that the right way? Do I need to go back? Ideas for podcasts, whatever it is. And my brain just doesn't stop. It just keeps going. I'm filtering out the bad ideas or working on the ideas and trying to make them better and thinking that's not a finished product. How do I finish this? So I need to do this. Oh, I'm behind on this. I got to tell my brain to stop. And if I don't, I'll be up half a night. That's why I try to read a little bit. It gets my mind off of some of that. I'll spend time doing that, and then I kind of prepare myself to go to bed. But I'm a night owl. I don't go to bed. It's not very often I go to bed before midnight, to be honest. I'm very, very much. Now, tonight, I'm going to try real hard to be in bed before midnight. I have an early morning. So, yeah, Dave, every day I want to argue about the Bible of Christ's birth and resurrection. Amen, brother. Yeah, I'm not here to argue or debate. But yeah, there are those, and I get it, that, the Sabbath day and all that. I just, like I said, every day is a day of worship for me. I don't have a set time that I go. I worship every day. I do go to church, obviously, preach and be preached at, but I don't argue that. And it is that time of year. I hope everybody has and we're getting closer. Thanksgiving is coming up. Excuse me. I know Rob was mentioning, I heard it again today. Someone else was mentioning it, that there are turkeys for $49.59, something like that a pound at Publix. I heard that up this way as well. So, if they're still there, it'd be a good time to go get one. If that's what you do. Some people do ham, some people do both. Some people do Chinese food. Have you ever, not count military, maybe he's out in the field, But have you ever just did something untraditional for the holiday, like you didn't eat a traditional holiday meal? You ate pizza or something. Oh, I was just trying to see if you've ever. I've heard of people eat spaghetti, pizza, Chinese food. That's a big one. Chinese food is a big one. Uh, steak, steak and baked potato. Eating that on Thanksgiving. If you're traveling, sometimes you just get stuck with whatever buffet, the trucker buffets or something that are open. Waffle House. Oh my goodness. I actually went one time on Christmas Day to Waffle House. My wife wanted to go before, and we were cooking dinner. My wife wanted breakfast. I want to go to Waffle. I said, you better get up early. We got to go eat before we even do gifts. I said, that place will be crazy. We actually got in pretty good, but they had people packed in there every corner of that building that you could get in. And then there were that many more waiting. We got in and we didn't dilly-dally around. We knew there was other people waiting. We enjoyed our meal. We got out, and I think she wanted me to stop and get one of the little things. There's always something you got to get. Then we come home and finished up the meal. I ate that afternoon. But when I pulled up, I thought, this is a bad, bad, bad idea. Waffle House on Christmas Day, all the people that don't have nobody to go, don't have somebody cooking or traveling, whatever else, they're all showing up. It's busy anyway, but especially on the holiday, crazy. Dave, I plan to send some of the dog tags that I've carried along with a picture of my summit. You think Rob would be okay with getting? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely, he would be very appreciative of that. It would be very special to him. Absolutely. Don't even have to think about that one. So I wonder around the holiday table if there'll be any discussion of 6-7. Oh, kids. Found out what 6-7. I hear that almost every day taking kids to school. Crazy. It won't be politics. It'll be 6-7. I asked the kids. I said, "Why do y'all say that?" I don't know. Prime rib, dog tag says, but no more with alpha gal. Yes, we should have 13 months that way all months. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm good with it. 29 days. 29 days. No leap year. I don't think there would be, right? If you do it. Well, I guess time still changes a little bit. I guess there would be. I don't know. That's too much. It makes my head hurt to even think about that. I was telling the church in a sermon here recently, I don't sit around and worry about the Earth jumping off its axis or rotating out into space and asteroids hitting the Earth and destroying us, or all the sun's going to burn out in the next 10 minutes. I don't worry about that. I figure if God can't handle it, there's no sense in me worrying about it. He's already got it under control, and He don't worry. So why should I be worried about it? I'm not worried about it a bit, not one bit. I don't lose a bit of sleep over that. I'll lose sleep over the ideas I got floating through my head, but those are not it. I'll say this, and I do got to get off here, but I was saying, I told you about going down to Atlanta, and we did that 3 years in a row. The person left, they weren't there, and things changed. But we used to do a Christmas Eve service for the seniors that were at this place. It was a memory care special place. I mean, some of the people couldn't come because they'd gotten bad, but it was always a packed house. And the first year I did it, they had this choir that come in. They had a lady that played gospel, the Christian Christmas songs, if that makes sense. They're Christian songs, but they're about Christmas. And the people sang along that. Then they had a choir came up and just rocked the house. I was like, wow. And then I had the honor to preach. And so I'm in Atlanta, and it's Christmas Eve. We would get home kind of late, And so on the way down there at your area, Barry, or well, not your area, but you've been in this area, Cassville. I don't think it's there anymore. If it is, I don't remember. But there was a that's a trucker kind of a pilot, not a pilot. It's across the street, but there's a what do they call it? I can't even remember now. They got the little restaurants, the truckers all use it, and they had one of those all night 24/7 diners, and we would stop in there on Christmas Eve and have dinner, and it's not many people there, just a few truckers. There's no and people that are traveling, and they would walk in, and sometimes they decide to eat or get something to go or whatever. And so I we got kind of in a habit of doing that. And so, like, the second year they're like, "Hey, you came back." Third year, "Hey, it's good to see you." We came back. Yeah, the TA. Yeah, travel. What does that stand for? Travel advantage. Travel something. I used to stop there more than the pilot because when you went in, you had bathroom. I mean, you got bathrooms, but you had 5 restaurants. All that pilot had was McDonald's. So you go there, you had choice of Popeyes, Pizza Hut, Burger King, and a couple of more. I think one was Chinese or something like that. And anyway, it was really good. I mean, we would stop in. That was kind of a restroom break for us between when we go down to minister, even during the day. But those were special nights, and it was just me, my wife, and my son and my granddaughter, and we actually. But when I couldn't go back, my son was all bummed out, like, "Oh man, I like to go down there." And he always liked stopping at that place. We build these habits in our lives, and we call it building memories, and those are special memories for us. And I thought a lot of people would think this is not that great, but we just came out of being a blessing to somebody, a lot of people, and we're walking. We're just like we're walking on the clouds, and we're coming home. That was kind of a wind down spot. Like you're energized all the way to there. Then you eat, you kind of get relaxed. You're getting tired a little bit. It's about an hour from there to my house, and you come in, and it was we just made a family fun time out of it, and it was great. So you have those places you need to pull and go. I used to eat at the Iron Skillet at Truck Stop, $9.99 for a 10-ounce steak and shrimp with salad bar. I'd eat the steak and take the shrimp for lunch the next day. There you go. There you go. Yeah, you just get used to that stuff. And you know what? Those people are having to work Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. God bless them. I mean, I always try to encourage them. You tip them a little more too. Give them a little more. It's Christmas time or a holiday. You give them a little bit more. You appreciate what they're doing. And the food was good. I mean, it was a buffet, so you got all the salads you wanted, and they had meats. They usually had two or at least 2 or 3 kind of meats and vegetables, and man, that was nice. It was good. It wasn't like you stopping for a poke and choke, or choke and puke, whatever. The Iron Skillet is off 85 North in Carnesville in Franklin County. I don't know if I've been to the Iron Skillet. I may have. If I have, it's been a long time ago. But yeah, that's the old Stuckey's, and well, there's a lot of places I could think about. The Ponderosas. There's one restaurant I heard is making a comeback. I can't remember the name of it. It's in the Atlanta area. They're kind of making a comeback. I just saw this in the news, and I can't think of which one it is, but we didn't have it around here, but they're kind of making a comeback. I think people are missing that. They're getting sick of the and I'm not saying that's completely without being processed and all that, but it just seems like more of a home cooked meal than you're going in and getting this stuff that's coming out of a machine. You know what I get? I mean, it is what it is, and it's just people are a little sick, and you're paying a whole lot more for it. Iron Skillet was off the chain. I like the name alone, Iron Skillet. Now you pay $9.99 for drinking a roll. Yeah. Oh man. I know. They always say when you went, you knew you was in a fancy restaurant if it didn't have prices listed. Oh my God. I'll say this now. I really am going to go. I took a friend of mine. I was down in Atlanta. I've told the story before. I was down in Atlanta eating one of those sidewalk cafes. I mean, they have inside, but they have the sidewalk seating area. But we went inside. I forget what place it was. It's on Peachtree. And, you know, the burger alone, and this is a long time ago, so even that be even a lot more now. But back then, the burger was $7, just the burger. And my old country friend, he looked like Joe Perry from Aerosmith, swear to you, just taller than Joe. He's got his leather jacket on. He looks like a rocker, you know. And he's looking at this big old menu, you know, and he finds the cheeseburger and he goes, $7 for a cheeseburger, and this real George Jonesy kind of accent. And everybody in that restaurant turned and looked our way. I said, "It's okay, dude. I'll buy." But it's $7. And he's talking real loud. I'm like, "You're embarrassing me, man. Like, I told you I'm paying for it. Who are they? They don't even come with fries, Dave. $7." He kept saying it. I'm like, I'm fixing to leave. We look like Hickville. And so I would never pay that kind of money for a cheeseburger and a fry. Dude, I ain't never bringing you here again. I was so embarrassed. We saw Alabama tour bus at the Iron Skillet once. I saw Loretta Lynn's at, what is the name of that restaurant? It was a buffet top, too. It's up at Rocky Face near Dalton. I can't remember that. I don't remember if it was a Ryan's or Golden Corral, whatever it was, but Loretta Lynn's bus was there. Yeah, got to eat some good victuals. Hey, y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, y'all can join in with us for one of the shows over the weekend. Pray for me. I'm going to get up and go help get my wife in the bed. My son's there. Thank you, Dog Tag. Thank you. I appreciate it. Show must go on. You know, sometimes things happen. You know, just didn't know it was going to happen. So y'all make it all happen. And without you, I'd just be sitting here looking at a screen. So that's no fun. I've done that early on. That's all we had: screen, nobody in the chat, nobody watching, nothing. You know, we may be knuckleheads, and we may say things wrong. Sometimes we may be boring. I'm sure we were called that. Somebody watched our show once and said we were boring. And, well, yeah, sometimes we are. Life is boring sometimes. Nothing much going on. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's serious. Sometimes you get mad. All that stuff. We're humans. So Chili's has a good deal, like $10 for a big old burger and a ton of fries. Appetizer, you spend more than that. Yeah, that's true. I love them 2 for $20s. I used to go down to Charlie's. They used to have a really good 2 for $20. Man, they brought that spread out, steak and everything, man. I was like, wow, this is good. I heard somebody advertise for one the other day I thought was pretty good. And then whoever it was in the chat talking about that turkey sandwich at Arby's. You've piqued my interest. Whoever said that. I got to go check that out. I got to see if it's any good. All right, we'll go out with some music. Take care. God bless. And we do pray the best for you. I hope that everything is good with you and your home and your family. And y'all be safe out there. People drive a little crazy around holidays. We're getting closer. And, just got to watch out for each other and do the best you can. So if I don't leave, I won't have a voice. Salute. Take care. God bless.